So, you've gotten the all-important interview, whether it be in person or online. However, for some reason you keep failing at the final hurdle. Have you ever paused and asked yourself why that might be? This video is kindly being sponsored by the amazing team over at Noah, News Over Audio. The first 250 viewers to hit the link in the video description below and use the code Afzal50 at checkout will get a massive 50% off an annual Noah subscription. What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about reasons why you might struggle to ace your interviews. I'll touch on a number of common reasons that people often don't think about when it comes to interviews and the reasons why they're failing and how you can improve your chances of success in the future. Alright, first reason why you're failing at interviews is because you say yes to every single question. Now, what do I mean by that? So oftentimes in an interview you get asked tons of questions and it's okay not to know the answer to a question. So oftentimes a lot of candidates, they feel like they need to say yes and then make up the answer as they go along. What's better to do is say, be honest, have a go at the question, like say, I'm not entirely sure, but I would imagine that XYZ. Use your intuition, use your thought process, think out loud, and try and give a reasonable answer. But if you genuinely have no clue, don't try and blag it, don't try and fake it. The person on the other side of the table can tell if you're lying, if you're, trying to make things up, if you're not prepared for a question. It's completely fine to say, I'm unsure. It's completely okay to come back to a question at the end of an interview. Typically, when you do that, the interview comes to the end and they forget about it. So you can use that card if you want. Just understand that it's completely fine to not know the answer to every single question. What's important is you want to start your interview off on a high, so answer the questions well. Sometimes it will drop a bit, but you want to start on a high and end on a high, right? So you don't want to end on a drop, but it's fine if you start off bad. But what's important is you want to maintain the quality of your answers, and at the end you want to end on a high, or maintain it. You don't want to end on a low at the end. That's the most important bit. Next thing is, nobody's actually taught you how to prepare for an interview. This takes me back to when I was 16 or 17. I had an interview with Royal Bank of Canada, and this was part of like I got in touch with like a charity who helps underprivileged kids get into investment banks and stuff. Like they open the doors for you. Anyway, so I went to this interview. I didn't have a clue how to dress, how to prepare. I went to this interview on the trading floor. I'm not even joking. 20 traders walked into the room. It must have been end of the day and they must have been bored. I was there. I didn't even have a suit. Yeah, so I'm there, 16-year-old Afzal, at Royal Bank of Canada, on their trading floor in one of the big boardrooms. I've got grey trousers on. I've got a white shirt with all patterns on it, and I've got a tie that's just literally bigger than like my head. It was a massive tie. I looked like a donut, and this is because no one really taught me or told me how to prepare for an interview. Obviously I didn't get an offer, I didn't get anywhere. They asked me all these questions, pitch an investment idea to us, what's going on in the markets, blah blah. I didn't have a clue, and so that was a good learning experience. But if you're never taught how to prepare for an interview, your success rate is not going to be as high as someone that's been helped or taught how to prepare. And so it's completely fine to have rejections, but what's most important is that you learn from your mistakes. On the topic of preparing for your interviews, you have to prepare for 3 or 4 key areas. So the first area is the company itself. You need to do your research on the company. Leverage Google search, leverage their social media sites, leverage their website, leverage the general news. So Google search and then click on news, see what comes up. The more detail you can find out about the company, the better, because you can talk about the company at length compared to other candidates. And then you want to do your research on the division specifically. Why do you want to work in asset management? Why do you want to work for the investment banking division at so-and-so bank? Why do you want to work in trading? Why in operations? So do your research on the division, talk to people, network, message people on LinkedIn, so on and so forth. Then you want to do your research in terms of what's going on in the world. Commercial awareness is very important, especially if you're applying to an investment bank, consulting firm, law firm, so on and so forth. What's going on in the world heavily impacts the business and the division you're likely going to be working in. So you need to know what's going on in the world. Keep up to date with things on the FT, The Economist, Bloomberg, Google search. Yahoo Finance, Google Finance, so on and so forth. It's important to stay up to date. Since we're on the topic of commercial awareness and staying up to date with what's going on in the world, this brings me on to today's video sponsor, Noah, News Over Audio. Noah is an audio app that lets you listen to thought-provoking journalism that you otherwise might not have time to read. They don't focus on breaking news. Instead, Noah focuses on high-value, in-depth analysis and opinion. If you're like me and you enjoy reading the FT, The Economist, HBR, Bloomberg, the Noah app includes articles from these and many more premium publishers. What's more, a dedicated team of expert editors handpick and craft topic-specific series to help you understand the story behind the news. Recently, I've been listening to a few series on the US dollar and what's going on in the world of cryptocurrencies and all of that. And one thing I like about the Noah series is that all of the content is curated from different publishers, which is pretty cool. Now, on to the best bit. You can get a free 1-week trial of Noah Premium by hitting the link in the video description below. And also, the first 250 viewers to hit the link in the video description below and use the code Afzal50 will get a massive 50% off an annual Noah Premium subscription. Now let's get back to the video. So one of the main reasons a lot of people don't pass interviews is because they're simply not being themselves. If you put on an accent, or you try and speak super formal, or you try and fit in, even if you get the job, you're not going to last in that industry or in that role because you don't fit in. Your natural persona isn't going to come through and you're just not going to be comfortable in the job. So be yourself. Don't obviously relax and just slouch and speak slang if that's who you are normally, but conduct yourself appropriately. But you want to give a bit of personality because it's very important. And that, honestly, when you are yourself and you're comfortable in your own shoes, you will naturally perform better in interviews and you'll notice it. So definitely be yourself, because trying to be someone else is defo hindering your chances of getting an offer at an interview. Also, not being yourself means you're going to struggle to build rapport. One of the most underrated things in interviews is building rapport with the interviewer. At the end of the day, when you're working 12, 13, 14 hours a day in an investment bank, you're going to need to like the people that you're sitting next to. And so if you can be likable and click with the person in the interview that's sitting opposite you, then they're more likely to choose you, even if someone else is, you know, more qualified or smarter or seems like they are going to do the job better than you. If you are likable, you fit into the team, that can heavily sway the decision to hire you. Next reason why you're failing your interviews is because you don't ask good questions. One trick I always used to do is ask questions that are specific to the individual. Why? People love talking about themselves. This is very, very important. If you flip it on the person and make them look good, make them feel good, they're naturally going to think, oh, this person makes me feel good, subconsciously, and they're going to like you. So always try and get the other person talking. Obviously not more than you because it's your interview, but if you can at the end ask them questions specific to their career, specific to their role, specific to, you know, things that can get them to engage with you and build that rapport, it will help you a lot. So try and do that more. Ask good questions. Show them your questions. You don't want to have too many questions. 1 or 2 is good at the end. But you want to display to them that you are eager, enthusiastic and keen on learning more about the company and the division and the role. And that will naturally tell them that, okay, this individual is serious, they want to work here. I get that vibe from them, as opposed to, oh, this person asked boring questions, just the standard stuff that, you know, doesn't show me that they're interested. This is just another interview that they're going to because they got an interview offer. You don't want to be that candidate. If you apply to lots of different companies, some will get back to you, some won't. The ones that get back to you, if you don't really care about them, you're not going to come across as super interested in the role in the interview. When that's the case, the person on the other side of the table can see that. Like, trust me, I've done so many interviews. Anyone in the industry that does interviews can tell when a candidate is genuinely interested in the role and the position versus when they're not. So if you aren't interested, just don't accept the interview or use it as a learning curve. But you know, if you really want a role, you need to understand the role, understand why you're interested in that company, and that needs to come across in the interview. Otherwise, people will see through it very, very easily. One of the biggest reasons why people get or don't get an offer from an interview is because they don't even know what the role entails. So many people apply to so many different roles and it's like, okay, But when they get into an interview, it's like, at least do your research on what this role is, what the responsibilities are going to be. Because people will ask you in an interview, do you know what you're getting yourself into? Do you know what we expect from someone in this position? Do you know what type of work you're going to be doing? If your expectations are not aligned with the role that you're interviewing for, it just tells the interviewer, this person is lost, they don't know what they've applied to, why am I going to hire this individual? So you need to know, do your research about the role that you're applying to. A lot of these are common sense, but not many people focus on them, and they play a huge part in why people don't get the offers. You need to be able to explain why you want the specific job at the given company. If you can't distinguish between why this company is more attractive to you as opposed to this company, then the person that's interviewing you is going to think that this individual is just, you know, they don't care which company, they don't really care, they're not keen on working for us. So in my case, for example, I would say I wanted to work at Goldman Sachs Asset Management or Barclays Private Bank because it has so and so differences compared to XYZ company. And you know, you need to do your research once again. You need to find specific reasons about that company or that division or that role that kind of relate, resonate or connect with you compared to other companies who have similar roles but you don't feel that connection. You need to make it clear why that is. The more you can tie yourself to the division or the role or the company in an interview and make yourself feel like you're part of it and you connect with it, the person on the other side is going to naturally, once again subconsciously, feel like, if you do it well, feel like you're a part of that as well and you fit in naturally. If you don't do that, you're easily going to be seen as an outsider. You're going to be seen as someone who doesn't fit into the role, fit into the team, fit into the culture. And that's why you need to kind of highlight in your interview why you specifically want that role, why you specifically fit that role, what makes you, remember an interview is a pitch, you're pitching yourself to the person, why you are the ideal candidate for that role. And you do that by touching on things like your previous experiences, any life experiences that you had. Storytell. The best way to engage individuals and keep them engaged, and hopefully like I am doing in this video, is tell a story. Take them on a journey with you, walk them through your CV, and then at the end pitch why this has led you to be in this seat and why it means so much for you to be given an offer for this role that you're interviewing for. This next point is extremely important, especially for junior professionals. You need to come across as an individual who is highly coachable. Now, what does that mean? A coachable individual is someone who listens, who takes on board feedback well, who takes on board instructions and does what they're told, but goes above and beyond. Someone who is coachable will not be a pain in the backside. So, you know, managers, senior managers, individuals who have to manage other professionals don't want troublesome people or people that are hard to work with. Now, this doesn't mean you should just be like someone who does and says everything that you're expected to do and say, but you want to be someone who's easy to work with, someone who can fit into a team seamlessly and get the work done, do it to a high standard, and understand what will allow you to grow in that business. A coachable junior professional is high value to any manager. Displayed in an interview will heavily increase your chances of getting an offer. How do you display your coachability in an interview? Tell them you're a team player, but back it up with relevant examples. Show them times where, you know, you've been right or wrong and how you adapted. It's all about adaptability, understanding yourself, being able to step back, take on feedback positively, whether it's positive or negative or constructive criticism, and then taking that on board and adapting accordingly. So coachability is a very important one. Last but not least, communication equals listening. So in your interview, you want to be listening well. You don't just listen by sitting still and not reacting. Listening is an active process. You nod, you can say, I understand that, agreed, so on and so forth. There's so many ways to actively listen. So in your interview, you want to show them that you're actively listening. And then when they tell you stuff, repeat some of their words or some of the things that they tell you. So it shows them that you've actively listened, you've taken on board what they've said, and you're implementing it into your answers. This can be quite tricky, but if you could do it, it will impress them. It shows you're a great listener. Listening is a key skill when it comes to communicating, and it's very important because you're going to be doing a lot of listening, communicating, speaking in the given role. If you found this video useful, do consider subscribing to the channel. If you made it this far in the video, smash that like button, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.